Ministers of State, deputies, senators, councillors, MEPs, would-be councillors, ladies and gentlemen from all over the country, welcome to the 77th Fine Gael Ard Fheis. Thank you, Brian, for those stirring words. I would like to welcome in particular, the candidates for the forthcoming European and local elections. These are the men and women who will carry the Fine Gael message to every community in Ireland. And that message is simple, and it is that Fine Gael is determined that the economic recovery, which is now underway, that it's felt in every corner of this country, because we intend to make recovery local. Everybody's got to feel the benefit of an economic recovery, and it's our duty and our responsibility to see that spreads throughout the land. So for the local elections, Fine Gael has already, I understand, selected over 450 candidates, over 100 of whom are women. This means that our party will have more women candidates than any other party in this election, and we need more in the elections ahead, so give them all your support when you have the opportunity. All of these candidates are standing for election for a local authority system that is being radically reformed. The new councils will have new powers and new responsibilities. So who you elect really matters, because for the first time since rates were abolished in the 1970s, those candidates whom the people elect to the local authorities will have responsibility for the property tax, will have responsibility for commercial rates, will have responsibility for parking charges, and for decisions that will affect and impact on the life and the commerce and the economics of every town and village in the country. So it is really important that they understand that when they vote for Fine Gael candidates, they are voting for candidates who will use their influence to support economic development in the local regions throughout the country. And that's why all of the Fine Gael candidates are committed to opposing any increase in commercial rates, an issue which is so important for small businesses and the retail sector throughout the country in general. In the coming months, you'll see the opening of 31 local employment offices, local enterprise offices, opened in every local authority throughout the country to support the creation of new business, to offer mentoring advice and support, information about public procurement, rates, issues about books and tax and all of these matters that are so important for small business, start-ups, those in situ, the lifeblood of our economy. So a vote for Fine Gael local election candidates is a vote for efficient and effective local government. It's a vote for lower local taxes and for ensuring that economic recovery is seen and felt throughout every parish and community in the land. And that's a fundamental issue that our people throughout the country must decide when they go to vote. And those men and women who carry that responsibility will also carry the responsibility of carrying the message through the enormous Euro constituencies that we have on this occasion. As you know, the number of Irish MEPs will be 11 in the new European Parliament, and to ensure that we have a strong voice from our party in the European level, in the new European Parliament, it's more important than ever that people understand the responsibilities that are going to be placed on the shoulders of our candidates at Euro level. And that's why I want to wish Brian Hayes from Dublin every success in his campaign. That's why I want to wish Jim Higgins and Mairead McGuinness every success in their campaign in the Midlands and the North West. And that's why I want to wish Deirdre Clune and Simon Harris and Sean Kelly MEP every success in their campaign in the South. Let me tell you that that's a formidable bunch when they get going. They have the ability, the experience, the strength and the potential to fight for Ireland's national interests at European Parliament level, and we'll give them all the support that we can in the campaign. As when elected, they will be part of the European People's Party, which is the largest political family in Europe, and as you know, Fine Gael hosts the European People's Party Congress for the elections next week here in Dublin. This will bring over 2,000 delegates here to Dublin, and media. It will be the biggest political gathering in Europe for quite a number of years, and is also a real vote of confidence in our country, in our people, and indeed, if I dare say so, in our party. Thank you for your attendance and your support in that regard. Might I say that today's report by the Chief Medical Officer of the Department of Health on the deaths in Portlaoise Regional Hospital makes for very grim reading. No family in this country should have to fight for truth in our health system. No family suffering such grief and such trauma should ever have to have their concerns ignored. I want to publicly commend Minister Riley for his decisive and swift action on this matter. All 11 recommendations in the report are accepted and they are being implemented from today. It will help to ensure that this can never happen again. It should not have happened at all. It will ensure that Ireland will continue to be recognised as one of the safest countries in the world in which to give birth to children. And I would like, on your behalf, to convey our deepest sympathy to those families who lost their babies. It is through the resolve and the passion of the Malloys and the Molyneux, the McCarthys and the Keys families, that this change is now happening. So, not only must we now change the culture about access to information, we must also change the barriers to access to our health system as a whole. 3 years ago, the Irish people voted for change. They voted for change in the way we run the economy. They voted for change in the way we manage our finances. They voted for change in the way we behave in this business of politics. And above all, they voted for radical change in our health system. A health system that was resistant to what was the usual cure, the people's money. And because during the Celtic Tiger years, the people's money was just spent and often wasted and never invested, tens of thousands of our men and women and children joined what became a national ritual during the Celtic Tiger years, waiting. They waited on lists, they waited on chairs, they waited on trolleys. Some died in car parks. On one day in January 2011, their waiting created an unfortunate national record. 569 sick, vulnerable people lying on trolleys in the various accident and emergency units across the country. Everyone knows that once people get inside the health system, they are well cared for. We have the best nurses and doctors and care staff in the world, and they're properly resourced and do their business. Getting into the system has been the problem. This government came to office promising change in these areas. And I can say to you that there is evidence now there that we are changing that. The numbers tell their own story. Last year, 2013, the number of people counted on trolleys in accident and emergency units was 1/3 lower than in 2011. Because of that reform introduced by the Minister, that means 30,000 patients less and fewer on trolleys than 2 years earlier. In 2011, there were 6,235 patients waiting over 8 months for inpatient and daycare procedures. By the end of last year, that number was reduced to 68, waiting for that period or longer. Until 2012, imagine this, there was no data on outpatient appointments. It simply was never collected. Minister Riley insisted on its compilation, and as a consequence, been able to tackle waiting times head on. We've made these and a number of other critical improvements, even when the number of people in the health service has fallen by 10%. That reform and that improvement is good, but we still have a very long journey to go. Waiting lists need to fall more, and they will. The system needs to become more efficient, and it will. And above all, our health service in general has to become fairer and more equitable, and it will. Minister Riley's work is focused on the patient and on making the fundamental structural changes that will bring about a really effective health system for everybody. And that's why I look forward to the discussion and the publication on universal health insurance, which will be published very shortly. That will set out in detail the structures and the administrative procedures as to how we will introduce the most radical reform of our health system since the foundation of the state. Critically, it will tear down those barriers to access, which is so critical. So, for a change, when implemented, a new health service will be ready and will be waiting if you and your family and those families who come after us will need it. Of course, the current public-private care system is not just inefficient, it is deeply unfair. It's hard to believe, actually, that just 2 years before we commemorate the centenary of 1916, that too often, too many of our people are treated not on the basis of medical need, but on the basis of income, on the basis of whether or not they can afford private health insurance, a basis that is and that should be repugnant to the people of a still young republic. And that is why in the programme for government we are committed, the two parties in government, to moving to universal health insurance, a single system where everyone will have health insurance, a single system where everybody's GP care is covered by that insurance package, a single system in which everyone will be treated the same, where the state will either pay for or subsidise the care needed by men and women and families on low incomes, a single system where for a change there will be no outsiders. We have looked at the models adopted in other countries, and what we do in our system is create an Irish universal healthcare system that is fit for our needs and for our country. And we plan to introduce UHI in 2019. and the long and hard work on implementing that is already well underway. A vital part of this work is Dr. Riley's consultation with the Irish people. It will be one of the largest, most comprehensive, thorough public consultation with the people of the country in the history of our health service. Because you see, the health service doesn't just exist to sustain jobs or to support itself or its own interests. No, the health service belongs to the people. It exists for the people. It is paid for by the people. It's time to hear what the people want and what they expect from their health system, and that's the basis, the central core of the consultation process that will take place throughout the country. So, over the weekend, you're going to see all of the wonderful representatives we have here, all of the ministers and the ministers of state and the deputies and the senators and councillors who are working so hard on the issue of the principles and the things that we stand for. Remember, our twin pillars are to sort out our public finances and get our country back to work. And we have a relentless focus on those issues for 2014. There will be no let-up in the momentum that we have gained. And every person in this country has a contribution to make to meeting this national challenge. Let me say to you that it's a privilege. It is a privilege in politics to have the opportunity to lead a government of men and women committed to taking our country back from the edge of an economic abyss and working with people to turn it in a different direction, where there are brighter days and greater prosperity up ahead. And that's why I believe really strongly that just as we have done in the past as a country, when the Irish turn their minds to solving a problem or to dealing with a challenge, we are unbeatable if people work together with a single objective in mind. And my single objective, and that of the government, is to see that our people, our young people, have the opportunity to live and work in their own country, and the impact of government will be focused relentlessly in the time ahead on those two issues. We've got 2 years, just over 104 weeks, until the next general election. And just as we are not afraid to face the people now because our story is very good, so too can we be judged at that time on whether we've delivered on the mandate given to us after the awful time that our country got into just a few short years ago. So here in the RDS, I want you to enjoy this Ard Fheis. Get to know each other, renew acquaintances, talk about anything you want, football matches or politics or the forthcoming elections. You're going to have access to all of the ministers for photographs, for candidates, for literature, whatever you want. They're all warned. They're all going to do it. Charlie Flanagan has laid down this edict at the parliamentary party meeting very strongly. So make use of that. Don't be afraid to tell ministers, deputies, senators, councillors, MEPs what the issues that are on your mind. Enjoy yourselves. It's a great occasion to be back here in the RDS. Hope you have a really good weekend and look forward to meeting you all tomorrow. God bless you all. Get in your market.